Slight left turn onto Attorney Dittman.
I don't mind.
Brandon here.
But like I just, yeah, I think I've got this. Just yeah. And I thought like, we did a great job on that fire, and there was no like debriefing. I just like flashed with the main guy that was the head of our team. He was the police officer, sheriff, or like that's right. Like you just was like different. I had to say, me and him flashed a lot, so I got complained about by him, so I didn't talk.
Dolores, I can't hear you guys. This is why.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out why.
But I just, yeah, after that, it was
Can you hear
Or
us
maybe
now?
me. Hold up.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Okay, we've got a, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. So Brandon. Hey, Brandon.
Yep.
One of our candidates is not here, and we realized that they did not receive a separate notice of this meeting beyond the typical. That would be posted.
Okay.
We can hear you. Stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we are wondering if. It's, I mean, actually, Tanya just headed up there to see if she's holding the call, and we didn't get an answer from her. Do we have a responsibility there, or?
I mean, a legal responsibility, probably not. But I mean, I think as a fairness, responsibility, it would make sense that we'd reach out separately to each individual, let them know we had scheduled this.
Okay. So we're good if we just kind of wait for a while.
Yeah, we could do that. We could recess later today, whatever you would like to do.
Yeah, well, we've not started the meeting yet, so I think we'll just wait at least 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
And what's everybody's schedule like today?
And if there's anybody in the public for us to see it, too, and they can still, they can track, right?
You can see right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's live right now.
If we needed to wait till later in the day, are the two of you available later in the day?
I got a thing from 1 to 3, and then after that, I have my son, so I probably won't be available after that.
Okay, I have a 2 o'clock. I have a 4 o'clock. The 4 o'clock's not negotiable for 2 o'clock. So we're just waiting as a place. So. We have to wait for attention to the shop. Yeah, because, well, and we legally can. So. But. Would we want to vote on that?
They're the usual preliminaries or not?
Yes, they're only usually.
Then we should do, like, we should. And then we get the preliminaries out of the way, it's just.
Well,
I didn't even notice.
I'm not comfortable doing that till
Alright.
Tammy gets back.
Right.
And we are public on that.
Yeah, it is being live streamed and the audio is on. Just FYI.
I'm gonna kill the audio for a bit.
Okay.
All righty, we're live.
It is 10:32 AM and a little bit to lift. I'm calling to order the Town of Lyons Board of Trustees special meeting on Friday, August 8th. Roll call, please, with that
Yes, Mayor Rogan. Mayor Pro Tem Williams,
present.
trustee Hamrick,
Present.
trustee Dottie,
Present.
trustee Lowell,
Present.
and trustee Browning.
Present.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Nothing to pull from the agenda, so
Motion passes unanimously.
So we're here today to select a new member of the Board of Trustees in the Town of Lyons. After the resignation of trustee Delman, who brought a lot of great love of the outdoors and love of this town. And just found himself no longer able to devote the kind of time and attention necessary to continue the task. We are fortunate enough in this town to have people who care deeply. And so we have 3 candidates who have applied and to be a member for the remainder of the term, which will continue from the 18th of August until the election in the middle of April. We will make the decision today, and then the person chosen will be sworn in on the 18th at the very beginning of that meeting, so they are able to vote throughout that meeting. What we're going to do today is have each of the 2 of the 3 candidates who are present. Each of the 2 candidates, we will ask to give us a 1 or 2 minute a statement as to their interest, and then we will immediately ask questions of that candidate. And so we will ask you first, and then it'll be Lee after that. So come on up to the podium, if you will. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your interest in this. I love the things that you wrote in your application about community and relationships. Yeah. It was refreshingly right brain, which I probably have to explain that. I'm not going to explain it. It was wonderful. So please tell us what prompted you to decide to apply.
I was walking and Tanya just got back into town and we were right out front of Moxie and we just, we have a relationship, so it was, just strike up conversation and she put a couple of updates and then it was apply to be a board member. And I immediately thought, this is not my cup, this is not my environment, right? Like I come in here, I've been into the board meetings before to speak about a certain topic, and it's so intense in here. And I'm like, dang, these guys have a really hard job and they all look so professional and incredibly accomplished. And they own houses and they're like, so for me, like, I'm humbled, to even be one of these people and Lee's amazing, I've known of and Lee for a while and I don't know, I feel like it's, I'm not those things that I just said about my interpretation of you guys. And what I am though is open to this community in ways that I would say that is kind of like different than maybe, I have actually had events and gatherings throughout town for the last 4 or 5 years of being here, and people come to be in the community from all walks of life, like from whether they're right or left brain or this or that persuasion, or rich or poor, or own a house and don't own a house. So like, I'm able to be with people and I don't have anything going on about where your ideologies live and where you're kind of rooted as a human being, and that gives me kind of a different spin on an ability to be with whatever's coming in here, and you guys just happen to deal with the intense, like, people come in here with things to say and intense energy to share. And I think I would be an asset to the board to be able to like add another perspective on where people are coming from.
Thank you. Trustee Henry, your questions?
Yeah, actually, if you were appointed, would you be interested in running for election come April?
That's a great, I don't know. I don't even know what, I mean, other than like 5 times being in this room with you guys, I have no idea what to expect. So I just know that I can show up. If we do this, then you can count on me to be here through the term. And that's what I can promise. And if it's awesome and you guys like me and I like you, you know, I mean, not that I wouldn't like you, I just, if it vibes, you know, if we have a good vibe together, then maybe, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Steve Dawson.
Well, thank you for answering the call. I'm glad you're here. I would love to ask you what you think Lion's biggest strengths and weaknesses are.
The way that we, as a people, so interesting. I mean, our arbitrary borders have never been as strong, you know, like calling something lions when it's attached to this earth. It boggles my mind how we get so convicted by our persuasions about where we live. And I think that the strength of this community is, it reminds me of when I came in here and we told you about the situation with the management company over at the affordable housing. And I felt that you guys had my back. That was really powerful for me, and that for me spoke to a strength of Lions, is that there's an inside Lions and there's also an outside of Lions, and we protect our kind. And I don't know if that's something that other people say or talk about as a strength, but I think like I felt empowered to like be a part of this community when you guys held that person who bought property in this space and just had no real relationship to the ground floor here, and just you guys checking that, you know, entitlement, you know, like I own this, I'm entitled to something, is not something I think Lions has another layer of relationship to this land here. And it's like a profound relationship to the land where like this land is actually wanting something from the people here and the people from it. And it's just like this, it's not something you can find in Boulder. It's not something you can find in Longmont. It's just like we're a passageway here. So and it's sacred. This land is sacred. So I think that's a strength. I think weaknesses, you know, we don't have, I think a lot of the community gathering spaces are geared towards particular things, and I think we need more community spaces for people to be in, like, and creating a groundswell of human beings that are coming together to create that kind of community doesn't belong to the officials in the town. It belongs to the people. So that's something, I think it's not a weakness, but it's an opportunity. It's a gap, you know, that I intend to fill regardless of whether I'm on a board or not, you know.
Trustee Hill.
First of all, don't be too impressed with the facade that you see.
Yeah, thank you.
I suspect there's a lot more of what you describe in your essay here. Here, so. Yeah, anyways, I'm gonna ask a question that's a little out of the norm here. We all have our own personal opinions. And my question to you is, would you consider the opinions and desires of the constituents, that is the town of Lyons, or your own personal opinions or prejudices?
Could you give me an example?
We recently had a community survey, for example, last summer. And that survey basically showed a fair number of people wanted Lyons to go 0 or up to 5%. In fact, I think it was about 2/3 of the most respondents answered.
Wanted the town to not grow, is that what you're saying? Like to stay where it is? Yeah,
A limited growth in the town.
yeah.
But there are opinions of others on the board who would say otherwise, that the town should be.
Sure.
So now that you've seen it, the constituents have this, although you may have an idea. Sure. What is your first priority? What was your first priority?
Well, my first priority would be beyond the survey for sure. Like I would want to be in whoever, like, so if we got a survey back and it was this many, like a majority of people want this. And I had a different opinion, I would go directly to the people that had that opinion on the survey. And get the heck over there in their world and really discover for myself what like at the heartbeat of that, like what's at the heartbeat of that, and then to go like to own it, like to own it as my own, like they're counting on us to make decisions, so that's my job. So I would make sure that I can own it too.
Trustee Brandon.
My question may seem a little more mundane, but one of the things I've discovered on the board is it's an important area. Do you have experience in getting involved in budgeting, either in the private sector or in the public sector?
Not at all, none whatsoever.
Good succinct answer. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And in your past, do you have any past board experience?
Board, no, not that I can think about.
What would your expectation or understanding be about a board's relationship with staff?
Like the town staff?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very tight with Victoria. I come in here often to pay utility bills and stuff like that. I know people here, Kim and everyone that works here, so I'm already kind of familiar with the staff. I'm not sure what the relationship is as a board member.
Okay, and that's kind of what, how, as a board member, you would view the staff of their work. So I'll be a little more specific.
Yeah,
would you feel like, since they are the ones who are living with things day in and day out, that you likely would follow their direction unless you had compelling reasons otherwise? Would you be inclined to think that our responsibility is to oversee the details of their work, or to look at the bigger issues of that affect the town, and then have the board or have the staff figure out how to accomplish the objectives of the site?
Well, I mean, knowing that all of these people are fully devoted to their work, that's a plus, right? I can trust in that they have, the best kind of work ethic, and they've pretty much dialed in probably their flow with everything that happens around here. So I definitely, I don't I know what I don't know, so I would probably follow your guys' lead a little bit on that. If there's something I need to be aware of, because that's an interesting question and I don't really know how to answer that, but I definitely trust Victoria is amazing and like, Holly's amazing. I just, yeah.
Anybody else have any additional questions?
I'd just like to ask, as a relative newbie to all this myself, found that public engagement is amazing. Because a lot of times we sit up here trying to make decisions, stuff, maybe we don't have all the information. So anyway, how would you, if you were on the board, how would you go about engaging the public and getting their input? And because normally what happens is, if it's something very controversial, we'll hear about it, but on the more mundane stuff, we're sitting there trying to speculate what's best for the town, and I just struggle with how do we engage more citizens, because it's, in my opinion, very valuable.
Well, I engage people throughout town. You just walk around, like I'm that guy, but also creating gatherings is something that I do anyway. And having people come to a shared space where they're free to be themselves and to talk about things is something that I'm already I wouldn't have to go like do something outside of what I already do to get what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate that.
And Captain Williams.
Morning, everyone. I guess I just start off by saying why I would volunteer for the position. I care deeply about Lions like all of you do. I've tried various ways to contribute since I got here about 8 years ago. LCF, Lions Volunteers, the library, Lions Fire, the Evans Project, and now maybe it's time to do some of that, what Trustee Hamrick called the more mundane things. I know some of the things here, they get a lot of spark, they get an awful lot of energy behind them, but it's both those things and the more modest things that I think make the difference here. One of the questions that was asked earlier is, what's the difference between what the board does and what the staff does? Some of what the board does feels very strategic, and some of what the board does feels more mundane. And all those things have to get done. And at the end of the day, all those things have an effect. And I'm happy to be here when things are exciting, when the room's full, when maybe there are some differences of opinion. I'm also happy to be here when there are things that the state of Colorado requires of us, or when the budget needs to be picked in every individual aspect. I think a lot of what I would bring, all of you already bring. I care a lot about getting management right. I care a lot about listening. I care a lot about collaboration. Lots of those things I think you're already good at. Anybody who would come up here from Phi to Julie to me, I think believes in all of those things. There are a couple of things about my background that maybe would fill in parts of the board. One is I've worked in every sector. I've done nonprofit and for-profit and government and academia. Some of you may have, or all of you collectively may have, but I've seen this kind of work from a lot of different perspectives. And I think that's given me a perspective that I wouldn't have had I been, say, only on the for-profit side. I've also, in the particular things I've done, gotten pretty deep experience in a few things. I did 25 years of financial and operational risk management. I can see problems coming. I can help head them off. I can help address them when they hit us. I was chief risk officer for a $1 trillion company, and a lot of those problems fundamentally are the same problems that a small town has. Same problems that a board like this has to deal with. I've done real estate development, or depending on how you count, 5 to 15 years. This board is not all about housing and real estate, and neither am I, but those issues come up and I have some experience with them. Same is true for finance, because I've run some things, because I've sat on a dozen boards, and led some of them. I have done a fair amount of budgeting for this work. And I know being the steward of the town's finances is as important as the cultural issues and the day-to-day issues they deal with all the time. Last thing I'd say is any board, any organization is a collection of people trying to do collectively what needs to be done. And often what that means is it should have people who are complementary to one another. And if it turns out that I bring some things that I don't bring, or Julie brings some things that I don't bring, that make this a stronger body, because it has a diversity of perspectives or backgrounds, I'm 100% okay with that. That's the right answer. The answer is you should have the people on the board, Lions should have the people on the board who make up a board that can represent Lions and protect Lions as a group, not because any one individual has exactly the right background. So with that, thanks for looking at my application. I'm happy with however this process turns out.
Yeah, touched on it already, I'll just repeat the same question, which I've been asked probably, and it's experience in either private sector or government budget.
So on the private side, I was one of the senior people at a big company. I ran a nonprofit myself in Washington. I've been the president of Thistle Community Housing in Boulder. Been in a lot of situations where in one seat or another, I had to work with a bunch of people to get something.
Mr. Wolf. Yeah, let's get in the time machine. Let's move forward to 2035. Tell me what you would envision Lions to look like. Make a difference, because the decisions we make here today are so.
I think it's hard to say, and I don't think any one person should have just their locked in vision of where the town should go. The question was asked earlier, would we put our own preferences, biases, our dream for Lion's future ahead of other people's? If this were a democracy, everybody would be voting on what the dream ought to be. If this were a republic, it would just be my choice or your choice if we're elected or appointed to a spot. But we're a representative democracy where our dream ought to be the combination of what everybody wants from Lions, which is a combination of what it has been, what it is today, how creative, how inspiring, how much we all love it today, and what it could be at some point in the future. It should be a combination of everybody's input with our judgment about how to get there. One thing that I would say is that I don't want the future to be driven by some fear that we can't satisfy our budgetary requirements. I don't want it to be driven by the fear that we're going to lose all of what makes Lions special. Instead, I think that we should be responsible enough about our budgetary decisions that we can protect ourselves financially, and we should be protective enough about Lion's unique qualities that we find ways to protect what it has been. So 10 years, 20 years from now, not that different from here. And not that different because we've protected it from becoming another Boulder or another Longmont or another Jamestown for that matter. All those places are great, but they're not our place. Instead, we've protected what we came here for and what we contribute to it and what 2,200 people contribute today.
I'm gonna ask the same question I asked before. What do you consider Lions' biggest strengths?
They may be the same thing. I mean, one of the things that I've sort of hinted at here, and I think I might have written in my little 10 sentences, is we have people from a lot of different backgrounds with a lot of different priorities and perspectives and worldviews. And I love that. That's why I wanted to be here. Honestly, I don't want to be in some place where everybody comes from the same way of thinking and has the same ideas and has all the same priorities, is locked in as a Republican or Democrat or conservative, progressive, or religious or not. I want a place where we've got people who, in a whole swirl of community, bring their ideas and their preferences and their lives to the table. I think that's our strength. I think our weakness is that it's pretty hard to operate in that environment sometimes, right? You can't please everybody all the time. You can't honor every one of those priorities that every single person brings in equally in every single decision. So I think that's the joy of being here. It's the challenge of being here too. And that's true today. Honestly, Trustee Loyal, I hope that's the joy and the challenge 10 years from now or 25 years too. So that's what we got today. And I would do what I could to make sure that we continue to enjoy that challenge over the next however long.
Mr. Henry,
I'm gonna ask the same question, but I'll explain a little bit more about why I asked this, because my frustration as a new trustee is really learning all the procedural stuff. And so it takes you 6 months, as I say, to find the bathroom. And that's why this is really a 6-month appointment. So I'm interested in, would you be interested in running for election, after this term expires?
I completely agree that it takes a while to get your footing in any service position. And I wouldn't promise that I would run in April. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think that I could get over that learning curve and start helping out right away and take advantage of it once I learned it. So, yeah, I'm interested. No, I'm not promising, but I'm completely sensitive to the fact that I've got a lot to learn. And maybe my first 6 months sitting in any of these chairs, I'd mostly be listening and mostly finding my way and mostly figuring out what matters to people, how to get it done. It's probably true if I got elected once or twice or 3 times too. I'd still be figuring it out 5 years from now or 10.
3 years in, and at the time I still, I'm like, my God, I can't believe I didn't know that. So you are doing a lot of different things in a lot of different places. Be sure you have the time to devote to this, because this is a labor intensive role. We expect our folks to be here as much as possible and to be missing, if at all possible, no fewer than 2. And 3 in a row, and unless special accommodation has been made, you're out. Do you feel like you have the time to commit to this and the ability to commit to being at, as close to 26 meetings a year as possible?
Well, by standing here, or if you asked me to do this by accepting, I'd be committing to doing it. So would it be easy? Not necessarily. I have the luxury of having a more flexible schedule than most people. I have a couple of things that I'm hoping will someday take a little less time, like the Evans project. If that hits some finish line, then, it'll go from a construction and development project to property management, which I feel more comfortable handing off. I reel off a bunch of things that I've done in the past. I didn't try to do all those at once. And there probably are a couple of things that I'm doing now that I would swap out. I can tell you my sort of philosophy about these things is, in my life, I try to have 3 things going on at any one time. And right now, those 3 things are Evans and the other collection of development opportunities that I've had to pursue, and a personal issue that I'm working my way through. So normally those 3 are just like lock this, and this. Those 3 are a little bit amorphous because one of them has taken longer than it expected to. One of them is sort of a catch-all, and one of them is a family health problem that got thrown at us. I will make sure, if I take this position, that if I have to set one of those things aside or set something aside, as I've set fire aside for the last 3 months, I've been on leave of absence from fire so that I could deal with this family situation. I would make sure that there were no more than 3 things pulling my brain and pulling my gloved hands into whatever was required.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Do want to note for the record that our mayor, Holly, would like to be here. She is not here. Because she was again back in Chicago as of this morning, caring for her father, who is hospice. She has been very devoted to that, and of course is very, very devoted to this. The process moving forward is that the five of us here today will put our preferences on a piece of paper, which we will then pass to our clerk. Our clerk will tally those and then inform us of what the results are. For anybody who's watching online or anybody else who's here, the individual votes, while not being expressed publicly in this meeting, would be available through the Colorado Open Records Act, if someone were to request it. So that's, so everyone is aware that we all can be held accountable for the individual decisions we make, though I doubt that there are going to be people much interested in that. It's not my call to make, but that is not something that is shared today. Also, because she is not present, our mayor will not be voting today. So any questions about that process? If not, then I would invite our trustees to write their preferences. Fold them in half.
One thing first, we had a public comment in the record.
Yes, thank you.
But also, I want to make one comment first, and that is how much I appreciate all three of the candidates submitting their applications. And I would urge each of them, obviously, only one of the three is going to be selected. If they aren't selected, I would urge you to seriously consider signing up in January for the April election. It only takes 10 signatures on the issue to do it. So if those aren't selected, they please consider I'll volunteer to consider next year.
I was gonna talk about that right before, that's fine. But yeah, I do want each of us to have the opportunity. I am so pleased that both of you and Julie as well have done this, and with all three, when I hear you today and look at them aside, I really hope, like Mark said, 10 signatures by the end of January. It's a really simple process. And yes, it's a sizable commitment, but each of your perspectives, and based on what we see from Julie's and from her resume, as well as her application, as well as her involvement in commissions and her involvement around town as a whole, all of these are voices I would love to know.
On these ballot votes. So that we can be available by the caller. We need to issue money or receive.
Attorney Brandon.
Well,
Raise your hand.
I didn't hear Trustee Lowell's question. It was kind of mumbled.
These can be, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, these can be available by a quorum.
Yeah, maybe I wouldn't make that a legal opinion on the record, but I said it could potentially be quorable. Yes.
So do we put our initials on this ballot or is it totally received?
There's no requirement that you do anything in terms of the structure. Just to know whatever is submitted could potentially be subject to an open records request.
So what could be then is only the numbers would be available, not the who.
Potentially, depending on what's put on in the request, there will be a public vote, of course, on the eventual person. I mean, the clerk will announce the results, and there'll be a vote on the person, and what the tally itself is not a vote. So,
So answer your question. Not really, it didn't answer mine.
Are you saying it's up to us?
I'd say that is up to us whether or not we would want to.
So there's just an issue.
To do that. If you desire to initially, you can. If you don't, you do not need to.
Okay.
And I was just gonna say the same thing, as both Mayor Pro Tem and Trustee Brown said, that this is a very diverse group. We don't always agree, and that's part of the value of us being up here. Is I think other boards have been very lockstep and decision making. So I think that's healthy for the town. The other thing is, and I just say this because I've seen this many times where, and you kind of touch on, you don't have an agenda, and I don't think any one of us up here have. We're really here to do the best thing. So I just, and again, it's really, I'm saying this because I encourage including Julie, come January or whenever the right time is to, put your name in a hat. This is a great experience. So, thank you very much.
Okay, yes, those around. I think it's sure that's into us. And then we do not vote on this until there is a formal vote accepting the candidates also on the 18th. And they are sworn in, which will be done by the clerk. Not by the judge, but by the clerk at the very beginning.
The votes on the 18th.
That vote is on the 18th.
Yep.
And then will be done immediately after.
Yeah.
Early approval.
I mean, we could also vote today, then ratify it via resolution at the following meeting and when you swear it in.
Oh, all right, okay. I think we'll do that unless there's an opposite change. We'll take that vote and they can ratify it. Sure.
Victoria, do you have a different opinion? Sorry.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so I said, they were asking, we were talking about the process for what we do following this, and I think the process we followed last time and what could be done is you have the vote today on, once it is announced what the results are, then there'll be a formal vote on who will be the next trustee, and there'll be a resolution on the next agenda ratifying that. Then the person will be sworn in afterwards. I believe that's a process we followed last time, but
Yes.
Well, we
that's-
called, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that the last time they made the selection, but this is a formal meeting, so they made the selection, they were sworn in, and a
Yes, it
resolution
is.
passed.
Yeah.
at the-
It is.
it's the same. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Okay.
Yeah.
It is a formal meeting, Victoria.
It's
It
a
Mhm.
meeting for purposes of open meetings. It was
Yeah.
noticed correctly.
Yes, but because a resolution has to be in front of the public at least 24 hours in advance, you can't, you
Yeah,
just you make a selection today, they'll be appointed and sworn in on the 18th.
Yep. The resolution will be on the following agenda. It'll just be ratified.
So Attorney Goodman, we can still vote on it today, but ratify on the 18th.
Yeah, there'll be a vote on the selection today, and it'll be ratified at the following meeting.
That's good.
Yes, and the final tally was all in favor of the Williams.
All in favor of the Williams, we invite you to join us. We thank you so very much for your application and for your enthusiasm and concern about this town. I will ask now for a motion that we accept the results. And a second.
Motion to appoint Lee Williams as trustee of the.
Yeah, the motion to appoint Lee Williams as trustee for the remainder of the existing term through April of 2026.
Excellent job.
That's what you said, and
I like
that's what you seconded. Any discussion? And we will take that vote then.
And that motion passes unanimous.
Then, without any other questions, I will accept a motion for adjournment. Is there a second? Take a vote on that,
And that motion passes unanimously.
and we are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
And congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.